What if I told you that most of the suffering in your life doesn't come from what happens to you, but from caring too much about the wrong things? That was me, giving away my power, stuck in a life I didn't want, buried in 6 figures of debt, and completely unfulfilled. Until I learned to stop caring about the wrong things. And it grew my business to multiple 7 figures and gave me back freedom with my time and my life. So in this video, I'm going to reveal 5 things you're caring about too much, including one you're not thinking of right now. If you're ready to step into your power and create the future you actually want, then this video is for you. Number 1. Stop caring about what people think. In fact, I remember as a dietitian working my 9 to 5, doing the same kind of nutrition work every single day. I started to think, what if I opened my own private practice? What if I gave people one-on-one nutrition coaching and helped them before they got sick and ended up in the hospital? But here's the thing, nobody was encouraging me to do that. Nobody was telling me, oh, that's a good idea. In fact, my coworkers weren't saying, go for it, Valerie, that's brilliant. They were saying, I don't know, how many people are really going to want that? And for a while, I wondered, why don't I get the chance? Why don't people see the value? And then I realized I don't need their permission. I didn't need their platform to be successful. I didn't need their belief to be successful. I could create my own. And so I did. I put myself out there. I started coaching. I started sharing what I knew and helping people. And guess what? People showed up. Not because I had some fancy credential behind my name that nobody else had, but because they could tell that I cared enough to figure it out and say it. I wasn't the best speaker in the room. I wasn't the most polished coach on the internet, but I was willing to be a student of people, of business, of myself. And that made me a better teacher than I ever would have been if I just stayed quiet. Stop caring so much about what other people think. And the reality is, people don't think about you as much as you think they think about you. I love what Eleanor Roosevelt says. You wouldn't worry so much about what other people think if you realized how seldom they do. And so, what's the point? The point is this. Most people are waiting for the world to get better, waiting for somebody to hand them an opportunity or give them the green light to do something. But the power comes when you stop caring. Stop caring about who approves and who understands the vision and just start creating. Walt Disney himself was told by an editor that he lacked imagination and didn't have any good ideas. Imagine that. The man whose whole imagination would go on to create Mickey Mouse, Disneyland, and some of the most beloved characters of all time was being told he had no imagination. The very thing they dismissed became the very thing that changed the world. And the very thing people criticize you for is often the very gift that will make you powerful. If you stop caring about what they think long enough to actually develop it, you become powerful when you stop caring what other people think. And once you stop caring about what other people think, there's something else that really happens that you have to let go of. Because it's not just their opinion that keeps you stuck, it's the stories you tell yourself about why you can't. And so number 2 is stop caring about your excuses. There are a lot of people who live their whole lives trapped by excuses. They complain about how things are as if complaining is going to make everybody else feel sorry for them or somehow motivate the world to fix their problems. How many of you guys know people like this? Here's the truth. Excuses don't give you power, they strip it away. Your life doesn't get powerful when life gets easier. Life becomes powerful when you get stronger. Power shows up the moment that you stop caring about your excuses and start taking responsibility. I'll never forget when I was in college, okay? I was a music student at the time, and I was performing a Bach partita on the violin on stage, and I had practiced for months. But right before I got halfway through the partita in front of everyone, my mind went completely blank. Like a whole section just gone. And I started on the fly repeating phrases of the Bach partita. Now, I could have blamed it on the pressure and the lights and the nerves, but none of those excuses would have changed the fact that I wasn't prepared at that level that I needed to be. The truth was simple. I hadn't drilled it deep enough. I hadn't practiced it until it was mine, no matter what conditions were in front of me. And see, that's exactly what excuses do. They let you believe the problem is out there, when really the power is always in here. Your life doesn't get powerful when things go smoother. Your life becomes powerful when you get stronger. Power begins the moment you stop caring about your excuses. Think about Thomas Edison. The man failed thousands of times trying to invent the light bulb. He could have said, "It's too hard. I don't have the right tools. I don't have the right resources. The world doesn't believe in this idea." But instead he said, "I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work." That's powerful. Not the absence of failure, but the absence of excuses. Think about Oprah Winfrey, who grew up in poverty, abused, told she'd never make it. She could have carried those stories around as excuses for the rest of her life, but she dropped them. And she said, "The reason I've been able to be so successful is my focus has never been on money." So she focused on growth, excellence, and service instead of all of the excuses in her life. It made her powerful. Excuses are like anchors. Imagine trying to sail across the ocean with the anchor that's dragging along the bottom. You're just rowing harder, but you're not moving. This is what excuses do. They keep you chained to the dock of your past. And the only way to move is to cut the rope. Even Nelson Mandela understood this. He spent 27 years in prison. If anyone had the right to live in excuses, it was him. He could have said the system's too corrupt, the injustice is too big, but he didn't. Instead, he said, "I never lose. I either win or I learn." And you see, when you blame your boss, your family, your teacher, the economy, your background, you're handing them the keys to your power. You're saying, "Here, you control my future. You have all the power over my success or my failure." And the truth is, no one deserves that kind of power over you. Not your past, not the system, not them, whoever they are. Your power begins when you stop caring about your excuses and you start taking responsibility. But even after you cut the excuses, here's another trap waiting for you. And this one is sneaky because it doesn't even feel like failure. It just feels like comfort. So number 3 is stop caring about comfort. The comfort zone feels familiar. It feels easy. That's why it's so tempting. It doesn't feel like it's keeping us stuck, but that's exactly what's happening. And it's why it's so dangerous. The danger of comfort is it doesn't look dangerous. It looks like rest while it robs you quietly. It's the rocking chair. It gives you something to do and it feels soothing, but it doesn't take you anywhere. I remember when I was training in a barbell club to do Olympic lifting. So the easy reps felt the most comfortable, but they didn't change me. Comfort never made me stronger. I didn't get stronger until I experienced some resistance. Resistance from putting more weight on the bar. Sometimes more weight than I thought I could handle. And so the sets that burned the most, the ones that made me want to quit, were the ones where growth actually happened and I actually got stronger. And life is the same way. Comfort tricks you into thinking that you're fine. But really, you're just getting weaker. If you're not pushing into resistance, you're staying the same. Or you're slipping backwards. And I saw this in my career too. Working as a dietitian in the hospital was comfortable. I had a steady paycheck, the predictable schedule, the safe box to live in, but comfort capped my potential. I could have told myself, "Oh, well, this is the system. I'll never be able to help people the way that I really want. I'll just have to settle." That's what the comfort zone wants you to say. Settle. But the comfort zone was never designed to take me to my calling. It was designed to keep me safe and to keep me small. Because comfort now is struggle later. Struggle now is strength later. And so I made a decision. I stepped out of the comfort of the hospital and into the discomfort of starting my own practice. And yes, it was harder. Yes, it was riskier. But the irony is that the very discomfort I once feared became the soil where my freedom and my impact were actually able to grow. And if you stay there in your comfort zone, you miss the future that was meant for you the whole time. There's no right moment waiting for you. You take the moment and you turn it into something right by actually moving. So if you're willing to break out of comfort, there's another fear you've got to face. The fear of looking like a beginner. Because the truth is, you don't need to look like an expert when you start because everyone starts as an amateur before they become an expert. So number 4 is stop caring about looking like an expert when you start. Everybody wants to look like an expert. Here's the truth. Nobody starts out as one. What looks like expertise on the outside is just hours and months and years of getting reps and practice stacked up over time. When you see someone speak on stage or run a thriving business or play an instrument beautifully, it's easy to look at them and think they were born with that ability, but they weren't. Nobody was born knowing how to sell, how to coach, how to lead, how to play piano, or how to write a book. They became experts because they were willing to be students first. Here's the part most people completely ignore. You have to be willing to be bad before you can get good. You have to be willing to stumble before you can stand in confidence. This is the path that everyone takes. So that means posting the video that in 5 years is going to make you cringe. That's the one that is actually going to get you started. It means playing the instrument badly at your first recital before you can actually play it beautifully at your 10th recital. It means speaking a new language with broken grammar before you can have a full conversation fluently. Taking the first client even when your process isn't fully polished yet, and improving and refining it as you go. Stop caring about whether you look like an expert today. Just keep improving. Every rep, every draft, every attempt stacks on top of the last one. And then one day, people will call you an expert, not because you were born that way, but because you refuse to stop learning. And once you stop worrying about looking like an expert, sometimes, no matter how much you want it, it can feel like there's too many obstacles in the way. Like the whole system is just not set up to win. So number 5 is stop caring about systems designed against you. See, I'm not saying that there aren't systems and obstacles that don't exist. They do. Here's the truth. Those obstacles aren't there to stop you. They're there to be the very resistance that makes you stronger. Here's an example. A lot of women say to me, I'm struggling because it's a man's world. I'm a woman in a man's world. The system just isn't set up for me because people don't take me seriously. And so, yes, maybe you're in a man's world, maybe you're in a male-dominated field, but the bigger problem is believing those challenges are the reason you can't win. That belief is what drains your power. I know what it feels like to be in an environment where the rules weren't written for you. When I worked in the hospital system as a dietitian, the truth was I wasn't at the top of the ladder. There were a whole lot of people above me. There were doctors that made final calls, administrators that wanted to set schedules. There was insurance companies deciding what counted and what didn't. I could pour my heart into a patient, give them the exact nutrition strategy they needed, but if the doctor didn't approve of it or the insurance didn't want to cover something, it went nowhere. It didn't matter how good I was or how hard I worked, the system had the final say. And so I could have thought, oh man, the system's broken. I'm never really going to be able to make a difference. I'm never going to be able to help people the way I know I could. That's just how it is. Oh well. Here's the reality. If you let yourself believe that, you hand the system all of your power. If you wait for the system to change before you start, you're going to be waiting forever. And so I stopped waiting. I realized I didn't need the hospital's permission to make an impact. I didn't need the healthcare system's approval to create transformation. I could step outside their box and build my own practice, my own system, my own way of helping people. And that's when everything changed. I started helping people in spite of the broken system, in spite of the obstacles in the way. Not because the system finally got fair, but because I stopped letting the system decide how far I could go. And history is full of people who refused to wait. They didn't wait for the system to change before they did. They created progress in spite of it. Think of Amelia Earhart, who flew solo across the Atlantic when people said aviation's no place for a woman. Or Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who graduated at the top of her class but couldn't get hired anywhere because she was female. Yet she went on to reshape the whole legal landscape for women's rights. Or Catherine Bigelow, the first woman who went on to win an Academy Award for Best Director in an industry that was told her action films were for men. And so the system wasn't built to make room for them, arguably, but they built anyway. And so the lesson is this: you don't become powerful by waiting for fairness. You become powerful by creating strength in spite of unfairness. Stop caring about the system. Start caring about what you can build inside of it and beyond it. And if this message resonated with you and you're ready to go deeper, I want to invite you into the Personal Power Collective. It's my monthly mentorship community where we do the real work of breaking out of excuses and comfort zones and limiting beliefs and stepping into the identity, mindset, and habits that create real freedom. Go to joinpersonalpower.com/trial to start your trial today, or you can grab it in the link down below. I'll see you on the next one.